Do you feel lost, confused, and extremely overwhelmed with all of the noise in the health and wellness industry? Are you sick and tired of people telling you left and right all of these different things that you should try to do to get better, to improve your health? Are you doing so much and feel like you're getting nowhere? Today, I am so excited to be talking to you about how to cut through this noise so that you could get to the core of what your body truly needs to be able to function at its best. In recapping what we discussed in episode 1 of Your Body Speaks, I shared with you how the body is so incredible in its ability to heal, to self-heal, to self-regulate, to self-organize. It is incredible at its ability to dialogue and communicate with you. And it does this dialoguing and communicating through whispers. And sometimes these whispers show up as like minor inconveniences, belly aches, little headache here and there, some muscle and joint pain. And if we don't listen to those whispers, eventually the body starts to scream into more problems where these symptoms that were once little minor inconveniences that we shut it up with medication, or we just did what we needed to do to keep pushing through. And then all of a sudden, weeks on end later, we're dealing with major, major issues. And we're like, how did we get here? We got here because the body was trying to communicate with us before, and we didn't listen. And so that is something we spoke about last episode. The other thing is it does hold all of the answers for us to be able to live the full, vibrant life that we know we're capable of without having to throw so much in it, at it, and around it. And that is something we're going to be discussing more about today. So and getting started with cutting through the health industry noise, the very first thing I want to talk about is how the health and wellness industry has created so much confusion and stress. Now, we recognize that this occurs in other industries as well, not just the health and wellness space, but like different areas of our lives. You know, the movie industry, there's a lot of noise in there and so forth. But because this is a health and wellness podcast, I want to talk about that arena. So, the number one way the health and wellness industry has created confusion and stress for you, and yes, I mentioned this briefly in the first episode, but if you didn't hear that, I'm going to go into it in a lot more detail here. But the number one way they do this is through professional copywriters. Yes, that's right, through professional copywriters. These people are not doctors and scientists, although they get information from their doctors and scientists. Sometimes they could just be mom and pop. Sometimes there are a medical company that have used professional marketing copywriters to do their brochures, all of their social media ads, whatever they're doing to try to get you to purchase the product that they're selling. These copywriters are incredible at drawing up the feeling and the emotion that you're going to be feeling when you're reading this information, or when you're hearing this information, or when you're seeing this information. One thing I want to say just briefly, if you've ever seen commercials for pharmaceuticals on a US television, you'll see people running along the beach, super excited, super happy about life, living life to their fullest, fully vibrant, fully energized, full of life. And yet you're hearing about some medication that is giving them, you know, these euphoric feelings. And then as they're still running along the beach, you're going through 30 seconds worth of all the side effects that happen as a result of taking this drug, right? This is what I'm talking about with marketing. It can make us feel like we absolutely need this to experience the results of what we're looking for. So yes, we need that drug. Yes, we need that supplement. Yes, we need to follow these food diets that people are talking about. Yes, 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 because these marketers have done such an amazing job at creating copy that converts, creating copy that allows people to, yes, take out their credit card and purchase this. Now, a lot of this noise beyond just the pharmaceutical company, I mentioned the pharmaceutical ads, but a lot of this noise is coming from just off the walls, different supplements, white labeled supplements, all these things that people think that they need because they have a pretty packaging on them or because they read something beautiful about it. If you've gone into any supplement section in any health food store or local grocery store, you'll walk in there and there's bottles with pink lids and there's bottles with red and yellow colors on it, and it makes you feel like you need something and you're just like, I don't even know what to pick. There's so much stuff here. And it's created like that for a reason. It's drawing our eye. It's working on our emotions. It's really causing us a state of fear and anxiety. We really go in a state of overwhelm. We feel confused. And when we start getting these messages, when we're starting to listen to all of this noise externally, we begin to quiet the voice deep down inside. Deep down inside, that voice is telling you exactly what it needs. When you're standing in that supplement aisle and you don't know what to pick, walk away. Okay. This is not a time to choose something when you're in that state of fear and anxiety. Just walk away. Okay. There's a lot of pressure to conform to these health trends because of what we hear from all of these professional copywriters. But more importantly, not even what they're saying to us, but what our brothers, sisters, boyfriends, cousin, blah, 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 right? Like the whole thing down the line. Like there's so many people that are so far from removed from us that are giving us advice. There's even people close to us, like our coworker who tells us we need to do X, Y, and Z in order to get these results. And they've gotten amazing results because they've done this. And that's great. Their body responded really well to it. Does not mean your body is going to respond really well to it, right? We all are very unique in our expression and our needs and what fad diets, magic pills, you name it. We have this pressure to conform to different things because we think we are missing something inside. And while we truly might be missing something inside, I guarantee you it's not as complex or as complicated as you think it really is. Now, of course, people have gotten into situations, into very chronic situations where they do need assistance from a practitioner, from a person who can help walk them through the process, right? But in a lot of cases, most of you can turn around and help your body work to its optimal abilities without having to do all of the extreme type of things. So I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of noise in all different industries, but the health and wellness space is no different from any of those other industries. It does want you to buy all of the latest looks and the gadgets and, feeling great in your skin and eating well. So this looks great and blah, blah, blah. But they're still preying on the fear that we don't have what we need. So let's talk about identifying some of this noise. So what are some common misleading health advice that we receive in general, right? What are some of the most common? So one of the most common that I see, especially as a practitioner, is that supplements are okay. So the fact that people can go into grocery stores at any point and pick up what they need, I mentioned earlier, if you're feeling very overwhelmed in that space, don't buy anything in that moment. Walk away. And I'm going to get into ways that you can actually calm yourself down. And we're going to talk about that before this episode is over. But supplements are not fine. This is something that I truly don't believe. I know it's quote unquote unregulated by the FDA, and I don't want to get into my whole soapbox about the FDA. I don't believe that they're really truly assisting us and helping us as a population to get healthy. But that's all I'm going to say at this point. So supplements are not regulated by the FDA, and there's all these warning labels on them, that's fine, right? That's okay. There's great supplements on the market that do what the body needs them to be doing. And people are getting results because it's the right thing that they need to be taking at the right time. Supplements are not fine just willy-nilly. People walking into a store and buying something they heard on a podcast or they heard a biohacker telling them to do, which don't get me started on that aspect. But this causes so much stress to your system. I spoke about this a lot on episode 1. It causes a lot of stress to your system. When you're taking supplements your body doesn't need, it's not about just not or just getting rid of it and peeing it out. It's about the energy you had to expend to get that supplement out of your system. So the body it's not just a zero cost game. You put a supplement in, it's going to come back out if your body doesn't need it. It's not like putting a quarter in a vending machine and the quarter getting kicked back to you. It's not at all like that. It's actually so much energy the body has to use to get rid of that, to go, oh my God, why did such and such person do this to me? Right? So anyway, with that being said, we have to be mindful of what we're doing. And so I almost say to people, it would be better not to take anything and to gradually add in as we go than to start just taking things because we've heard so much stuff about them. So the other common misleading health advice is that you have to follow religiously some crazy rigid health diet. Now, when I say health diet, I'm talking, you've heard keto. Oh, no, 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 no. Let's do the carnivore. Oh, no, no, no. Wait. Mediterranean. Oh, wait, paleo? Wait, shouldn't we do, wait, what are we doing? What do I eat? What do I eat? You know what? I'm just not going to eat anything at all. And I'm just going to go for refined sugars and eat a bunch of carbs. Is that not the case, right? We get so overwhelmed with so much crazy. It's unbelievable. We don't know what to eat and then we don't eat or we we get food issues as a result and that causes more problems. We're weighing out food, we're doing all sorts of things. Craziness. There is no one diet that's right for all. Okay. I've been working with patients long enough to see some very interesting dynamics happen. I will have a patient come to me and their body kicks back on avocados. Their body kicks back on carrots. Their body kicks back on celery, like random things that you would never think are causing any sort of harm into their system, but their system isn't able to handle it. And so when we're following these rigid diets based on what people tell us or what we think that we are missing out on, we are actually causing more detrimental stress to our bodies because our body is completely different. So it is about the way to work through this for you is really seeing how you feel when you eat certain things. Now, I understand, just like I mentioned in the last episode, do not get overwhelmed by this concept that I'm saying that we're developing this relationship with our body, okay? This takes time, and you may not notice certain things are causing you certain problems right out the gate. But if you can start to really start tracking your moods and any sort of symptoms, if you're having any symptoms after eating any foods, like just kind of logging it in like a food journal, like, did I really feel full? Did I feel satiated? Do I feel bloated? Do I feel like I got to run to the bathroom after eating this? And then really break it down. Okay, well, I had X, Y, and Z, over these last 2 meals or over this past meal. And let me start isolating some of these pieces and figuring out what it could be. Okay. The other thing, whoo, this is a big one. The amount of people that are drinking excess amount of water. Now, I know. This sounds like heresy because a lot of people don't drink enough water. And that is so true. That is so true. People don't drink enough water. Drinking half your body weight in water is a general rule of thumb. That's a general rule of thumb to follow. And it might work in some cases. In a lot of cases, that is too much water. That is too much water. So we need enough water so our body can function and do its thing, but we don't want too much water that we're flushing white blood cells out of the body. Okay. We can lose good things out of the body by just diluting ourselves. So I know a lot of people, and I love the concept of 75 hard. If you're not familiar with it, it is a essentially more of a mindset, discipline style of doing things where you drink a gallon of water a day, you do 2 workouts a day, you do reading, and you do like a weighing, a picture. You take a picture of yourself every single day. Those are the 4 main concepts. I think there's one more I might be missing, but this whole gallon of water, like for someone of my size, drinking a gallon of water, like that's all I'd be doing. I wouldn't even have room for food in my body. That's heresy to say that I could not, complete the 75 hard to the actual standards that they're asking you to complete it because I can't drink the gallon of water. That is not a good health approach. Now, if you're 300 pounds, that's a whole lot different. If you're doing tons of protein, that's way different. But most people are not, these bodybuilders. Okay. That's not what it's about. So drinking a gallon of water a day, like that is problematic. Drinking 2 less. We got to find the Goldilocks zone. Now, the Goldilocks zone is if you're drinking nothing throughout the day and just having other kind of beverages, that's not good for you either. So what I've seen, again, this is a general blanket statement, but what I've seen with patients is it's been anywhere between 40, 44 ounces of water, maybe up to like 60, 65, give or take. Sometimes it's a little higher for other people, but that's like a range. Okay. I think more people tend to be in the 40, 50 range on that as well. Those are 3 of the big things, 3 of the common misleading health advice in the industry. Moving forward, I want to talk about strategies on how to cut through this noise. So, what are some practical tips we can utilize today to be able to filter out this irrelevant information? So, again, mentioning when you're inundated with so much information out there, you're standing in the supplement aisle, you're going through the food, you're like, I have to eat this and I have to do that. And first off, if you're coming at anything with this have to mentality, then there's already something wrong because it's not about a have to mentality. It's about what is working for you. So you need to just stop. Let's stop. Let's take a pause, take a breath, center ourselves, and ask ourselves questions. Do I really need this? Do I really need this? It's not about wanting it. Do I want a bag of chocolate chip cookies? Do I want to eat ice cream? Of course, there's the cravings that the body has, but when I'm talking about do I need this, I'm really referencing supplementation. I'm talking about dietary intake. Do I really need this? When someone's giving you a recipe, is this recipe work for me? Yes or no? Tune in. You will start to develop and get answers a lot quicker than you think you will. And I promise you, as you develop this skill, it's going to come easier and easier and easier. And you're almost going to feel like you have a superpower, but really all you're doing is like communicating with this incredible body that your soul gets to exist inside of, that this body gets to take you through this whole life experience. It's so crazy and fascinating and amazing at the same time. So I digress. I get so excited. If you're asking the question, do I need this? And you're getting a yes on it, then drill down further into that question tree. Okay, thank you, body, for giving me that answer. How much of it do I need? Now, when it comes to food, so if you're eating, if it says yes, it wants chicken, let's say for dinner, random, but hey, let's say it wants chicken for dinner. Well, how much? Do you eat an entire chicken breast? Do you have half of a chicken breast plus whatever else is going to be on that plate today? How much? How much does your body want? How much of the supplement does it want? If your body is asking for some exorbitant number of things, like it wants 20 pills of vitamin C, clearly this information is not coming through correctly. Okay. It's not going to be some like massive amount of like intake of anything. Okay. So if it's, it says 1 pill, then take 1 pill. Recommended dose might be 2 pills, but for you, it's 1. Your system might be a little bit more sensitive. So you need to drill down a little further on that. Biggest thing is to develop a relationship with your body as though it was separate from you. I mentioned it takes you through this entire experience called life. It is what brings you through all of these things, all of these experiences. Your soul resides in the body. That's the way God designed. Okay. This body is incredibly intelligent and it is separate from you. So if we start to look at this in a way, like without sounding weird, but as two different pieces, right? Like your body is your body, you are you, and you're getting to have this beautiful dance with this transport system that God's given you, right? It's almost like the terminology, if you've ever heard the term, gosh, my body has a mind of its own, or like, gosh, I wish I could just figure this out. Like, what's going on? A lot of times people, especially, some of my patients, I love them dearly, but they're struggling with weight loss or they're desiring to be a certain weight or a certain size or whatever. And they're just like, I'm doing all this stuff and I can't figure out why I'm not dropping pounds and what's going on. And I'm eating all the right food and they're just in a state of, fight, flight, fear, freeze, all of the stuff. Body's not going to respond to that. Body is not going to respond to that. So body does have a mind of its own. We do experience pain when in our minds, we're like, we wish we could just pray that the pain goes away. And a lot of times the pain will go away with prayer. Yes, absolutely. Prayer is powerful. But other times, the pain is still there and we're having difficulty walking or just like, what is going on? Right? All the stuff. I want to share with you a brief story about my own life. In chiropractic school, I started chiropractic school in 2016, and I was at a healthy weight for a female who is 5'2". And I felt okay in my skin. I felt good. I didn't have the skills that I do now in dialoguing with my body and figuring out exactly what it wants. And I went through chiropractic school and it was pretty stressful and studying and no sleep and all the things that go on with grad school. And I packed on some pounds and I packed on some pounds and I packed on some pounds. And it just all of a sudden, I feel like I woke up one day and it was just like I was so poofy and heavy and 20 pounds overweight. 20 and this is outside of being pregnant. I gained obviously weight like when I was pregnant and I lost it all like right after. But in this case, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be the same size I was before? And I'm just like so frustrated. And I was doing all this stuff and I was like eating all the food and I would pull sugar out of my diet. And I was like getting very religious with things. And I was just like getting frustrated over and over and over again because nothing was happening. Nothing. No budging, nothing. I was gluten-free. I was dairy-free, all the stuff. Nothing was happening. And then I get out of grad school, I graduate chiropractic school, still 20 pounds overweight, get into practice, start learning this dynamic system analysis, which is what I do as a practitioner. I'm learning it. I'm developing this. I'm developing a relationship with this body that's taking me through life. And I begin to ask it questions. I begin to ask myself questions. Do you want this? Do you want that? What is it that we need? Do we want to go for a walk today? Are we doing weights today? Are we instead of following this laid out exercise plan that a trainer may have put a lot of thought into, but not based on my system, but based on what works in X, Y, and Z, right? Not that exercise plans are not ideal, but what's ideal is right. It needs to be right for you. So I began to ask it questions. I began to develop this awareness of it, that it did have its own voice and it was trying to tell me what it needed. And I completely stopped with all of the rigid diets. I just was like, okay, we're going to eat when we're hungry. We're going to give it the nutrients that it needs. My taste buds started shifting. So what I was craving started shifting drastically into more of the foods that my body actually needed. And it was insane, the amount of weight that was just dropping off. Now, again, I'm not going to pretend that this was like a 2-month, 8-week plan. No, this was developed over 2 years. Okay. So 2 years after chiropractic school, this is shifting. My body is completely coming back into balance with itself. And it was the most beautiful thing because That was 2 years after chiropractic school. I graduated in 2019. So 2021, it's 3 years later. I'm still at that weight. I still eat what my body wants it to eat. I don't follow any rigid plan at all. I do the exercises that my body wants to have done. I take care of my body in such a different way with the honest that it knows what it needs. So I hope that story encourages you to really fall in love with your body, fall in love with its ability to like share with you exactly what it needs. This is the closest relationship. You may have a relationship with the creator of the universe, and that is so beautiful and that is so necessary. And he's given us this close relationship with this body that he's designed. And he's allowed us to like have this relationship with it, which is also incredible. So, in conclusion, I really do hope you found this information helpful. I hope you can put some of this into practice. I hope you don't beat yourself up if it's not coming right away, because this is something that is developed over time. And the more you put it into practice and the more you love it and the more you dialogue with it and the more you just say, okay, like I'm ready to do things on your terms and not mine. Tell me what you need. You're going to start to have awareness of exactly what it needs. And so in episode 3, next episode coming up after this one, we are going to dive into learning about how to decipher the whispers of the body, to know when you're feeling pain in certain areas, what those areas are meaning on the body map, what the body map, like what it is, and how to be able to dig deep into things that are going on and recognize early signs of distress, and give yourself the necessary support that it needs. So again, thank you so much for letting me share this information with you. This is something I'm extremely passionate about, and I am grateful for you. I pray that you are very blessed and can't wait to speak with you on the next episode. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.